Good morning. My name is Johanna Wahlroos. I lead the global client strategy team at Double Verify, and I am delighted to get to kick us off with the DV Live interviews brought to you from the beautiful city of Cannes. And I am here with Natalia Calixto, Media Director at Grupo Boticario, a leading beauty franchise and headquartered in Brazil. Thank you so much, Natalia, for being here with us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Natalia, to get us started, could you tell us a little bit about your responsibilities and the different brands that you work with?
Sure. So, as you said, I'm Natalia Calixto. I am the head of media for Grupo Boticário, and on top of media, I also have what we call consumer value management, like all the disciplines that touch all the way from how I acquire consumers and how do I manage their life cycles and make sure that they have a longer relationship with us, like meaning a higher lifetime value. So I touch media, CRM, loyalty, and CX management. And I'm responsible for handling that for over 60 brands and sub-brands that we have on our portfolio. So we have 7 main ones, but these brands like Boticário has many more sub-brands. So it's fun.
Wow, 60 in total. That's
60,
a lot.
That's a lot.
So to build upon that, if you have 60 different brands, different products, how important is it for you that you can execute nuanced brand safety and suitability strategies and take into consideration the different brand needs? I can imagine there are some differences.
Definitely there are some differences, and I think that being able to adjust suitability and safety is essential for me to be able to differentiate those brands, right? So if I have a baby brand, like an infant brand, of course, these brands will be much more stringent with what types of content I can advertise on. But on the other hand, if I have a perfume brand that's talking about relationships, about sex, so definitely this other brand will have more flexibility as to where we can advertise. And I think that's the beauty of it, right? And with having 60 brands, I need to be able to do that at scale. So that's where technology like DV helps us to make sure that we can differentiate our brands, making sure that we are on content that's appropriate for each of them, and enabling us to differentiate between these brands.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing. One of the questions I would love to ask you is about cultural differences, and one of my personal favorites, when we work with advertisers around the world, we often like to speak about how it's important to understand consumer behavior and the differences. And within beauty industry, from your perspective, maybe you could share examples of how the needs of the consumer and the country context matters. What could be something between Brazil or US or other countries that stands out for you?
Okay. I think there's one universal truth about beauty that is true all over the world, is that when you use a product, you want to feel at your best and you want to feel beautiful, and I think that doesn't change wherever in the world you are. But what I can see differences is about like the different shares of the category. So for example, for Brazil, hair care was one of the most advanced categories, and it's even one of the most advanced categories in the world, because Brazil has all of the different types of hair in one country.
Wow.
So there's definitely, the consumer is very demanding of options and products that cater exactly for their needs, because for the Brazilian woman, beauty lies a lot in the hair. Whereas when you go to the US or even Japan, Korea, you would see skincare much more developed than in Brazil. Even though I feel that we are getting there, right? Because content from all around the globe also impacts and influences Brazil. So you see people like taking better care of their skin each day, but we're still comparing to these other countries. I feel that we still have some way to go. And another particularity, like when it comes to makeup, like makeup is Brazilians are very fond of their makeup, but because the country is so hot and humid, our skins tend to get oily very quickly. So you start shining on photos and stuff. So the Brazilian woman looks for makeup that has more of a matte effect. Whereas if you go to Japan, for example, it's all about hydration and moisturizing, and Brazilians try to stay away from those and like make sure that their skin doesn't get oily.
That makes sense. And that's also such an important insight for a brand to understand and know what matters for the consumer, where to find the content that then resonates with your own message.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm curious what you think about in the industry. We have constantly something new happening. We talk about AI or deepfakes or MFAs. What would be your advice for advertisers how to stay agile and how to stay on top of trends and staying tuned to what's going on? How can we do that when there's so much happening every single day?
I know it's a challenge, but I think one is to keep curious. It's about staying with a humble mindset, that you know, with an apprentice mindset, so that you are always trying to get ahead and like reading things and getting new perspectives. But at the same time, it doesn't matter if you read a bunch of things and you don't test and implement things. So I think that you have to ensure that your organization is agile enough to test and learn things, and learn to say, well, did it work? Yes, let's scale it. It did not work, kill it. Like, there's just so many things that we need to test. So that's how we would like to approach it. Like, yes, read a lot, but definitely try to implement.
Also be willing
fast.
to learn. I like
Yes.
the test and learn mindset. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, final question for you. What are you personally most excited about Cannes? What do you think is the beauty of Cannes, and what are you looking forward to this year?
Well, on a more personal note, I'm very excited because Boticário and Volti, those are two brands from our portfolio. They are, we've got 8 shortlists. So
Congratulations.
So we're very excited to see, to win at least one of those shortlists. To take this prize home would be a first for the company, to have a campaign awarded by a Cannes Lion. So that's one thing I'm very excited about. But the other thing I'm excited about Cannes is that we talk a lot about AI, like there are different, we go to South by Southwest or Web Summit, or even every conference in the world we're talking about AI. And I love Cannes because we're celebrating what it means to be human. We're celebrating the power of creativity. So AI still is not as creative as human beings. So definitely it's nice to celebrate what connects us on a more on a deeper and more personal level. So I'm also excited to see that here at Cannes.
I love that, and that is certainly part of a lot of the discussions, panels, and events that we are hosting here at Cannes. So combining the human touch and AI, it's never just about the technology. Thank you so much, Natalia, for being with us and sharing your rich perspectives. Muito obrigada, prazer. And
De nada, prazer também estar aqui.
Excellent. For our audience watching, thank you so much. Please don't forget to follow along updates. We at DV, we have a full week planned with panels, events, networking opportunities, and of course, our legendary happy hour parties. And with that, thank you so much.